We currently have a supervolcano problem on our hands again. And no, I am not referring to the heightened rate of earthquakes occurring at Italy's Campi Flegrei volcano, along with related discussions about potential future plans to possibly evacuate the area surrounding where the highest rate of magmatic uplift is occurring. Instead, the problem relates to the usage of the term supervolcano and science communication occurring as a whole. If you look up Campi Flegrei in online news results, countless sources incorrectly describe the volcanic complex as a supervolcano, with this list showing the usage of this term on the first 10 news results I encountered. While the Campi Flegrei volcano is composed of multiple calderas and has produced some truly catastrophically large explosive eruptions that generated short-term volcanic winters in the past, it is not a supervolcano. Originally, the term supervolcano only referred to volcanoes which at some point in their history had generated at least one VEI8 or larger eruption, which is informally called a supereruption, meaning at least one eruption occurred that ejected 1,000 or more cubic kilometers of tephra, aka ash, pyroclastic flow deposits, and ignimbrite. Just so you can understand how absurdly large this figure is, that would be equivalent to at least 769 destructive 1980 eruptions of Mount St. Helens occurring simultaneously. And an eruption an order of magnitude smaller, reading as a VEI7, is still quite destructive and climate-altering, with examples including the 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora, which caused the year without a summer, and the 1610 BCE eruption of Santorini, which is partially attributed to the eventual downfall of an advanced Bronze Age civilization. Yet, an order of magnitude is still a stark difference, with the differences in typical ash thickness near vents being only 200 feet thick for a VEI7, but often over 1,000 feet thick for a VEI8 eruption. The reason I mention this is that the Campi Flegrei volcano has never produced a VEI8 eruption, but has produced a singular VEI7 eruption. That eruption ejected 320 cubic kilometers of tephra and ash instead of the minimum of 1,000 needed to fit the typical definition of a supervolcano. So, now that we have established that Campi Flegrei is not a supervolcano, why is it being mentioned as one? The short answer is definition creep. What started out as only including volcanoes that had produced a VEI8 eruption became volcanoes where certain scientific estimates on the very upper end suggested that one of its older eruptions could have been a VEI8 eruption, to including volcanoes which could theoretically produce a VEI8 eruption in the future, to including volcanoes that produced upper end VEI7 eruptions and then only middle end VEI7s. And today, we have reached a point where the word is being misused and applied to volcanoes whose definition does not even closely fit its intended meaning. I am even partially responsible for creating this figurative monster, as shown by my past usage of this term. Well, I have decided that I will no longer use the term supervolcano at all in any scientific context, as my opinion on the term has changed. The root of the issue is that when a portion of the population sees the word supervolcano applied to a volcanic complex, they incorrectly think that the mentioned volcanic system can only produce VEI8 or larger eruptions. As shown by the many emails I have received, using the word supervolcano makes people think that a volcano is far more dangerous than it actually is. For example, if we were to use the traditional supervolcano definition, then Japan's Aso volcano would be classified as one due to the 1,160 cubic kilometers of tephra it released in a powerful VEI8 eruption 87,000 years ago. Yet, during recorded history, Aso has erupted more than 100 times, with these eruptions being no larger than a medium-sized VEI3 eruption, a full 100,000 times smaller than a super-eruption. It erupts quite frequently, and unless you are generally on its direct crater rim at the time of an eruption, the eruption isn't that big of a deal. So, what should we call Campi Flegrei and related volcanoes instead, since there are traits that these volcanoes have in common? I suggest the term supereruption is accurate, but only if the majority of scientific models for a specific eruption suggest that more than 1,000 cubic kilometers of tephra was ejected. As for volcanoes such as Campi Flegrei, the Long Valley Caldera, and the Yellowstone Caldera, I suggest the term large caldera complex be utilized, with a suggested arbitrary definition being listed on screen. I hope the current relative lack of a realistic chance of any of these so-called supervolcanoes, including Campi Flegrei, producing a supereruption anytime soon can be ingrained into common knowledge.